Good morning, Greater Cincinnati, Northern Kentucky, the United States, and the world. My name is EricEllis, and I'm the president and CEO of Integrity Development Corporation. And TommieLewis is not with me, but he certainly is with us in spirit. Today, we have with us Congressman Greg Landsman. Greg, how are you?
I'm good. As good as one can be in times like these, but it's good to see you.
Well, it's good to see you too, Greg. And you know what? I was just thinking about on my way to this interview, and I was thinking, man, I don't have the highest view of congressional leaders right now, but I do feel that way about you.
Oh, thanks.
I sort of question why people even choose to go into politics because it just doesn't seem like they can do much individually. It's almost kind of like you have to vote with your party.
Yeah.
But I see you as a leader who is got integrity, who has a conscience, who really wants to do the right thing, not only for your constituents, but for the country. And so, for what it's worth, that's kind of how I feel about you. And
I
there are probably
appreciate
many
that.
others like that. We just don't
Yeah.
ever really see enough of them.
Yeah, you don't see him, and I think most people feel, and I certainly feel this way, that Congress in general is broken, and it's part of a larger brokenness that's happening in politics, where it's become hyper partisan. You have fewer and fewer people working together, across the aisle, and seldom do they work on the big things, right? It's a lot of symbolic stuff, a lot of, will this get attention? Will this get me on TV kind of stuff? And yeah, I think people, generally speaking, Republican, Democrat, Independent, whoever you are, if you're out there and you're thinking about the country and the world and all of the things that we're working on or struggling with, you want politicians to get back to working on big things and doing them in a way where they bring people together, and that partisanship is a minor role or factor in all of it, as opposed to this like giant, all encompassing, factor. Like it just seems to drive everything now. And as a result, just these big things don't get done, or when they do get done, they're so hyper partisan that it's probably not great policy, and it's not going to last long because the next group is going to win, and then they're going to tear, it all up anyways, and then they're going to do their hyper partisan thing, and then they're going to lose, and then it gets torn up, and I think people are just like, Stop."
Right.
Yeah, and this is one of the reasons why I want to stay, is because I do think it's not inevitable we turn the corner. It might not even be likely, but it's possible. And I'd like to be part of the crew that gets us to turn that corner, so that we're, getting back to a place where people are getting big things done, and bipartisanship is in vogue, and solving problems is what people expect. And that's what you get graded on.
Right. It feels like we talk about identity politics. Both parties talk about it in different ways. But the reality is, it feels like we are all drunk on our own identity,
Oh, yeah.
that we cannot see the forest for the trees.
And
And we are so caught up in our interests that it's hard for us to look at what our real self-interests are
yeah.
because we get so emotionally hijacked by the things that we're passionate about. And so, if you're looking for attention, the lever to pull is identity, because right now it looks like it causes people to make decisions that may not be even in their own self-interest. And when we start doing that, I'm concerned. But before we get too far into
Yeah.
politics, Greg, I actually want people to know who you are. We've known each other for many years, and I just want you to talk about.
We've known each other for over 20 years. No,
That's
almost
right.
20 years.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
exactly right.
Yeah. 20
And
years.
during your days at the Freedom Center,
Yeah.
and that was those were some good times.
Yeah.
But before that, you are a resident of Cincinnati, someone who grew up in this community, who loves this community. Talk about who you are. Talk about your family, maybe the
Sure.
schools that you went to, and then who are the people and experiences that have made you who you are today?
Okay, so I was born in Cincinnati, but I grew up in Oxford. My parents got divorced when I was two. My mom, married a Miami professor, an anthropologist. And so we really grew up in Oxford, spent my weekends in Cincinnati with my dad, who also remarried. And so very quickly I had four parents, which is a good thing. But two households and divorce. So, you start to, and I had four sisters very quickly. I went from having one sister to four.
Okay.
So I ended up, getting very comfortable playing the role of like, peacemaker, like, hey, let's see if we can all
Right.
make this work.
Right.
And I still like playing that role. I like putting people in a room and trying to find that common ground.
Okay.
And because you're operating in two households, right, from a very early age, and you're just these two worlds have to sort of make sense.
Hmm.
In any event, my dad, my stepfather, because he's an anthropologist, we would go out to different Indian reservations almost every year growing up, and we would spend, a month or two where
Oh,
he did field work. And so I grew up in Oxford, very, very sort of basic middle class, like didn't have a lot of money, but also didn't want for much. We had, the basics were there,
right.
but there wasn't, wiggle room. There
Right.
wasn't much wiggle room. But I got a sense for sort of not just poverty, but injustice. On those reservations because you see the poverty, right? Like these Indian reservations are some of the most like impoverished places in the country. You have the highest, suicide rates, teen pregnancy rates, alcoholism, drug addiction. I mean, all of the things that come along with, just being under-resourced and marginalized
Hmm.
happens on these reservations, and you learn very quickly that it's because of the people in power. That there's a group of people in power. They made these decisions, and it screwed over an entire, nation of people.
Hmm.
And then I started to see the world that way, right? Like that there are issues of justice and injustice, and there's a reason behind those injustices. There's a reason behind those, uh, uh, the unfairness. And if a group of people can come together and screw another group of people over, they can also then come together and help people.
Okay.
So I got really into it, and my parents also like in both households they always had the news on, and my parents in general would say, or they would also they would if there was a big event, they would sit me down, explain it to me. And
Hmm.
so I got really into these sort of big moments and appreciating that that could be a career is like spending time working on, Middle East peace or, I remember space exploration because of the Challenger disaster tragedy. And then uh, I they were teachers, and so after college, I wanted to teach. I ended up getting into teaching, and then and then child education advocacy work, and ultimately public service politics.
Excellent. I love that. What brought you to the Freedom Center?
So John Pepper did. I mean, I had been working with his son when his son ran for mayor, and John and I became sort of friends during the course of that campaign because he and I had a similar sort of approach to messaging, and sometimes that was aligned with what David wanted. Sometimes it was just John and I trying to convince David, of another way, but we just sort of bonded that way.
Right, right.
And it was Francie who said to John when John came back to, try to right the ship in terms of the financials. Francie said, you should consider having an extra set of hands. Don't try to do this on your own. Why don't, Greg's a pretty reliable guy. And so John said, okay. And so then I came in really just to help John, but fell in love with the place and the people, and ended up just picking up whatever anyone needed me to do
Mhm.
that helped to, balance the budget, eliminate whatever deficits that we had. There was some, government affairs work because, at that time we were paying, the Freedom Center was paying like 100% for all of the water down there because
Right,
nothing else was built up. And it was like, guys, we need a break on the water bill, right?
right,
Like it's
right.
not, it's not the Freedom Center's fault you haven't been able to develop these other spaces. Getting a deal done with Fifth Third on the interest payments. I mean, it was a lot of really exciting work. And then I got to do visitor experience work, where I worked on the audio tour, and just helped that company work with our docents to come up with a experience for children to go through the Freedom Center and adults and groups.
Mhm.
And that experience helped me really get into the history in a way that just going through the museum I couldn't have. I mean, you get so into the history of the transatlantic slave trade, of the domestic slave trade, of the abolition movement, and what's in the museum, in the exhibition, but then like the stories behind them,
Right.
get those from the docents. And so it was transformative for me in terms of like really understanding our history and how that history plays out every day now.
Right. So, talk to me in our community about sort of what are some of the cultural insights that you gained from that period, and obviously even before that you have taken to Washington. And then I want you to also talk about at what point did you decide that you were interested in becoming a United States Congressman?
All right. So the first question, I think the biggest thing I took away was, as much as I thought I appreciated the issues of injustice and racial injustice in the United States, I don't think I really understood the legacy of slavery and, what slavery in the United States had done, in terms of just destroying families. Um, and what that does to an entire community of people, and how that plays out. If as a country you never own it, you never really come back to it and say, we just we tore these families apart.
Hmm.
And then when they formed new families, they got torn apart again.
Right. So let me take a time out. Every once in a while, Greg, I'll take a time out for our community to sort of take a closer look at the picture frame. Uh, that's actually profound what you're saying right now. I love the fact that you appreciate the learning that you gained, but that learning that you gained is probably the biggest flashpoint, the biggest place of division and hurt uh,
Yeah.
in certainly in white America in terms of a resistance to look back at that. I understand part of that. So I've been doing the work that I've been doing for 35 years. So I hear people say all the time, I wasn't responsible for.
Yeah, I wasn't there. I didn't do it. I get it.
That's right. And I understand that as well. But obviously, what you said kind of in passing was that it's hard to heal from something that if you never fully acknowledge it
Well,
and acknowledge all the things that maybe continue to happen that are connected.
yeah, it's acknowledging it, and probably more importantly, I think saying, we're going to sort out how to fix it, right? Like it took us a long time to break this. So let's acknowledge it's broken, that we broke it, or they broke it, or it broke it, whoever. But
Right.
But that whole, the history of slavery in the United States broke something, and a lot. And so I think you want people who understand that, and then who appreciate it. Look, it's not, no one benefits by making people feel terrible
Right. Right.
and punishing them and saying you're to blame. Like that's what would be beneficial for this country is for us to say, okay, this is why we have some of the issues that we still have today, and the only way forward is by sort of reinvesting in families and in these communities that have struggled ever since. And that does mean, you know, appreciating that we are in this together. And we're not going to solve it overnight, and not one thing is going to work. We're going to have to just, keep at it. But if you want to be as exceptional as we can be,
Hmm.
this is one of the things you want to fix. It's the original sin, and it lingers and it's there. I was on my flight, got delayed, but was on my flight here a couple hours ago, and when I landed, the first text message was about the story from one of the TV stations that a 30-year-old man shot and killed a 13-year-old kid last night.
Hmm.
And I called the police chief and I said, what happened? Because that's not what is that?
Right.
She said, well, the kid and his friends stole the guy's car, and then the guy goes and, finds him, which is totally appropriate, like don't steal my car. But he shot and killed the kid. And you think to yourself, okay, like what happens when you got four 13-year-olds in a car?
Hmm.
Do you know what I mean? And of course people are going to be like, well, where are their parents and what, it's like, well, remember there is a family issue in some of these communities that you can 100% connect back to what we did or what this country did.
Hmm.
And so like and just acknowledging it doesn't get us there, but acknowledging it and then saying, okay, let's invest and work on it, I think does make a big difference. It is controversial, but it's also just, you asked me what my takeaway was, and that was my big takeaway. It was my second takeaway was that there are these amazing people who decided that, the country wasn't going to do this anymore.
Hmm.
And they have this insane courage and to go against that system and the folks with power and guns and say no, 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 we're going to get rid of this, and then to have a country fight a war over it. But even before that, just the folks who were committed to abolishing it, and
Right.
the courage and determination that any big freedom movement requires you is rooted in that story, which is rooted in Exodus, right? And the original, from slavery to freedom story.
Right.
Those are the two big things, which is like, something really bad happened, we got to own it
Right.
and work on it. And there's a million ways to do that. And then two, like there's these things happen. They continue to happen to all kinds of different communities of people. And I think God puts us on earth to be part of the abolitionist movement part. God puts us here to go fix it, like go be part of it. And it does mean you're going to have to be pretty courageous and stick your neck out.
Mhm. Well, I appreciate that. So, what drives you to want to go to Washington and be a United States congressman? And uh, now that you are in that role, uh, do you still have the same dreams that you had that took you there? Uh, what do you think is possible?
Yeah, I still do. I mean, and it seems very unlikely at the moment because of the state of politics, but I want to come back to this because you still have these daily wins, and sometimes you have big legislative wins, even in, really hyper partisan, um, political environments like the one we're in right now.
Uh-huh.
But big picture, yeah, like I want to be part of a a group of leaders nationally that fixes the education system, that appreciates that
Woo.
you got to invest in brain development, and that means
Okay.
like you got to like if we made sure every expecting mother had and was getting access to really great prenatal care, birth outcomes would fundamentally transform, and it's not that much money.
Hmm.
And a healthy birth leads to a healthy birth leads to good things,
Right.
right? It doesn't guarantee you know success, but it leads to success.
Hmm.
Then you gotta then make sure that that kid has time with his parents, even if it's just one parent. Like that kid so paid family leave. Everyone's got to be able to spend some time at home with that child in the first couple of weeks, months. It's so critical to hold that baby and to
Hmm.
be with that baby. And stable, affordable housing has to be a
Hmm.
huge part of our system of education because that's where kids live. And if it's safe and they're like that, really that helps with brain development.
Hmm.
And then you got to have universal high quality childcare in preschool. And then I would love to see, more after school and summer learning programs to help catch kids up when they fall behind.
Hmm.
But ultimately, like, I don't think you need to have that 12th I'd rather have universal preschool than universal high school, right? Like, if we had to like move some money around, you want to move it around there. And then I think kids should be able to go after 11th grade, go into the trades or go to college. Do you know what I mean?
Right. Right.
But that to me is, I want to be part of that. I want to be, and that includes the housing and healthcare work. I mean, I just fundamentally fixing the housing and healthcare systems, and part of that is fixing the overall way in which we run the economy. Does the economy run on behalf of the people who work really hard and need it to work for them, or are we going to let it continue to work for the super wealthy and
Right.
the people, like
Wow.
'cause you got to return power and wealth back. And then I want to be part of like just global peace efforts, but in particular Middle East stuff. Like that's
Hmm.
I just remember how close we got in the 90s when Clinton almost got a deal done with Rabin and Arafat. That was the Israeli and Palestinian leader.
Hmm.
After, almost we're gonna be at 2 years. Hopefully not. Hopefully this war ends soon. But 18 months, 20 months of just one of the most brutal, deadliest wars. Not by number, but just awful.
Right. Let me
Yeah,
jump in again and say there's no way we can talk about politics without talking about President Trump.
yeah,
So I'll say some things, and I certainly love to hear your reaction, but I'm going to ask you some things as well. First of all, I would describe President Trump as a once in a generation talent. So I'm going to say it that way.
yeah.
Because I believe that he is a unique force that has an ability to garner the support of the common man in a way that, like we said earlier, that even causes some people to make decisions that are not even in their own
Yes.
best interest.
He's also really he's got this like additional superpower, which is he can he's so good at getting attention.
Yeah.
And getting attention is power.
Yep, absolutely, absolutely. And so he sets the agenda for us. I don't think that he has a strong belief system.
No,
He's transactional. And
very.
I think that in many ways, the Democrats underestimate his ability to maybe get some things done through this transactional lens. And I would say in the Middle East, that's an example.
I hope so. I mean, I really do. I hope that, he because he's not tethered to, any particular worldview or,
Right.
that he really just wants that Nobel Peace Prize. And, if that,
Or
if,
Trump Towers in every country and every.
like I want to be part of a generation that gets us to peace. I want to realize it for the Palestinians, the Israelis, the Lebanese, the Syrians, like everyone, everyone in the Middle East, and I don't know if you've been over there, but I spent a lot of time in that region. Like, it's just the most remarkable people. And same in Iran. Like, these are
Right,
just, and they've been trapped.
right,
And if yeah, if because he's so desperate for this or interested, I don't,
right,
in
right.
getting this Nobel Peace Prize, if that's his thing, great. Let's get there.
Right. But my question, so I set it up with Trump, but my question is he an anomaly? Is he sort of a one-off
I mean, I
Republican?
think
Or,
I
or
don't
is or is this the new norm that they're going to try to replicate that I don't think they can?
I don't I don't think so. I mean, I think that there are some things that need to be considered.
Hmm.
The ability to capture the country's attention and
Yep.
keep it is really important.
Yep.
I think you want to use it for common purposes, not
Right.
necessarily your own good, but that's
Right. Right.
that he also he showed up at a soccer a FIFA game over the weekend, and he's first president to go to the Super Bowl. Uh,
Yeah. Yeah.
and it's like, he's going to have a UFCW fight. Like, I think that political people, if they really want folks to follow them, need to step into the culture in similar ways. Now, I think a president should step into all aspects of the culture, not just
Right. Right.
certain parts of the culture. But
Right.
like I'm thinking to myself, like, God, am I going to the right events? Am I still just going to political stuff, or do I need to go out there and be part of where people are as opposed to where I think they are? Do you know what
Right,
I mean?
right, 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 right. Yeah, I think that for me, the missing link. Well, let me ask a question first. I'm sorry. It seems like the things that the president and Republicans are doing right now through the big, beautiful bill are maybe setting us back decades.
Yeah, I mean,
It's
it's
sort
gonna
of,
be yeah, and so, like, to me, I think you want to find those things to carry forward, the ability to sort of capture and keep attention, to really show up in people's lives, to go out into the culture, particularly places you haven't been. But unlike what they're doing, I think you got to get to a place where you're unrigging the system, right? So you're shifting wealth and power back to people, because that's the only place where
mm,
everyone's going to benefit. If it gets stuck at the top, which is what's happening, more and more of our wealth and power is getting stuck at the top. And that's what this bill does. I mean, literally, it kicks 17 million people off of healthcare in order to pay for tax cuts for millionaires, billionaires, and big corporations. So it is the largest transfer of wealth in American history. I mean, you're talking about trillions of dollars being transferred from working people
absolutely.
to the wealthiest. I think you want to sort of use some of the same tactics that Trump uses in terms of getting attention and building, you know, big support for the exact opposite change, which is like unrig it,
Yeah.
and go hard. Say like it is broken, it is rigged, it is rigged for the super wealthy. It's like maybe a thousand people, and we're gonna fix it so that tens of millions of people get their wealth and power back.
So let me ask you this. So my question to you is that President Trump, what he's doing right now, pe I'm surprised at how ignorant and asleep we are, just as a nation.
Yeah.
President Trump is very transparent. So he told us a lot of what he was going to do when he was running. And I was shocked to hear Wall Street be surprised that he was going to do the tariffs. He said he was going to do the tariffs. So most of what he's doing, much of that he has in fact said, and yet people don't seem to be moved negatively around it. And yet, when the Democrats, who said a lot of what he was going to do during the campaign, and seem to speak on behalf of the average working class citizen, It doesn't seem like that message is resonating with people. Why not?
Yeah, I think part of it has to do with the, who's delivering the message and what the message is. And, for a while it was Biden, and Biden was, he'd clearly lost a step.
Yeah.
I was one of the people who said, like, you got to step aside, buddy.
Right.
And,
Right.
and then to give her only about 100 days, it's just that
Yeah.
much to really, prove that you're going to lead in a stronger, tougher, more determined way that will fix the things that people know are broken. And I think she also missed the opportunity to say, like, we're done. Like, I'm going to, some of the things that, the economy isn't great. It's broken. Joe was too nice about it. I'm going to
Right.
fix it. Politics is broken. We're going to fix it. And I think you want the American people, I think, would prefer the policies that my crew pursues, particularly economic policies, Democrats.
Mhm.
Um, but they want tough leaders. They want energized, fired up, tough leaders. And, Biden was like that for the first year or two. I mean, he really
Right.
did. Like, he really did lose a step. And but Obama, I remember watching Obama because that was the last before. I mean, that was before Trump. The last Democratic president, or the last president before Trump was Barack Obama. Barack Obama was tough.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I mean,
Oh,
he was so smart. I mean, he is smart, but he just was like, you didn't. He had this sort of like, when he got up there on stage, he was a generational talent.
right. Oh, no doubt.
He captured, like, you just locked in.
Right.
And so I
Right.
think I think that's, you just need a messenger who's got that toughness.
Well, let me ask you this just to push back a little bit, because it feels like the country is rejecting Democrats as being elitist.
Yeah, yeah.
They're attacking, they're rejecting universities. It's almost like the working class is rejecting scientists, all the thinkers who are better than us.
Yeah.
And I don't know how the Democrats sort of got, tagged with that, but it feels like that's part of what people are rejecting. And they somehow don't believe that Democrats are being honest. And they see Trump as being honest.
Totally. I agree. I mean, because he says, and so, like, that's what I mean. You need somebody. It's not the policies as much as it is the messenger, and we need somebody, or
Yeah,
we need a group of leaders who can go out and talk in a way that is entirely authentic,
right,
and folks are like, oh yeah, he or she's with me,
right.
and she or he likes me. I mean, Democrats have given the impression. You said once, one of my favorite things that I always think about, one of my first diversity trainings with you, was you started out by asking, like, okay, what's the number one diversity issue? People like race and religion, and you let it play out for a while, and then you say it's the thing that matters most to you.
Right,
And I think that is something that a lot of politicians forget Trump didn't, in terms of his base, which is people, there's something that really matters to them.
right,
And if you see that and say, you know what, that thing that really defines who you are, I'm all about it. Like, I got your back. Like, I'm going to lift you up. And people find it authentic, and Obama did that, and Clinton did it, Trump does it. Then they'll follow you, and they'll say, okay, I'm gonna vote for him. I don't care if he's a Democrat or a Republican or she is. That person likes me, and
right,
you vote for people you think like them. And I think there have been a lot of Democrats who give the impression to folks who are less educated that they don't like them. And these are people I grew up with,
right.
and it's like, I know them because, and then, and they're like, this party of yours, Greg, they don't, I don't see them hanging out with anyone like me, that looks like me. So I just assume they don't like me.
Right. And it feels like, though, there's a different standard in the country for Republicans and Democrats. Republicans, it feels like their base is a lot more tolerant of their mistakes, whatever they say. I mean,
Oh my gosh, yeah.
yeah,
Our base, I mean, I tell you, I it is nonstop and I love everybody. So like
right,
get on, but it is like I was making phone calls yesterday just to because somebody said, hey, there were some people who were frustrated with something you did, and can you call? And it's like, no, and they're thinking about they love you, but they're thinking about like, and it was like,
right,
oh my
right,
God.
right. And Trump plays that like a fiddle. And so he's happy to say, you all can't get out of your own way. And so I can say some things and put it around your neck, and you can't shake it. So I think number one, we're going to be fortunate to be past Trump, hopefully be past Trump. But I would say that right now. So let me give you a thought that I have, and I'd like you to react to it. So for me, I think that the real key is getting out of Washington. I think you got to get out of
Oh,
Washington. It's not about better speeches. It's about getting into the lives of people in sustainable ways, whoever they are. I'd say just go after meeting people's needs on the ground floor and do that now. Don't promise me that when you get back in power that you're going to do it. We got to see people doing some of those things right now.
I am the happiest. My wife and I were talking about it this weekend. I I'm the happiest when I have a full day, full booked calendar in the district. I'm least happy when I'm on my second or third day here. I
Right,
just want to come home. I want to be out. I want to hear what people are saying, even if it's like somewhat negative. I feel better knowing, and I do better work when I'm out. People give me work. Over this past week I was home. I picked up so much work where I'm like, individual cases. Or this person needs help with this, or this person needs help, and I have a staff that works on it. But it's like it's fun to watch, and it's great because they're like, "Oh, thank you so much. This was a big deal." Or policy. There are two or three bills that we are going to work on this week that came out of interactions with people I had last week,
right,
and that's all people want. And people they walk away up from that, and they're like, "Oh, I like that. That's all I want from my politicians. I don't
right.
expect them to do miracles. I just expect them to show up, help me out, and listen. And if they can act on it, go act on it."
But that's not newsworthy. And
No,
unfortunately,
it's not getting me
there's
on CNN.
and unfortunately, it may not get you enough attention to be able to be elected.
Uh,
And we are, as a society, we are hurting ourselves by just being caught up in the things. It's a battle over our attention. And so, what I'd like to have you do, Greg, because I don't want us to wrap up this interview without you making a pitch about who you are, what's your hope for America, what role you want to play in that, the highest role that you're
sure.
interested in playing, and then what you think that we as citizens need to do to be helpful in the
That
country.
is a lot, but it's really important. So like one, I'm first and foremost a father. So my wife Sarah and I have two kids, 13 and 15, almost 14 and 16. So if you can believe it, they're teenagers, and so
Right,
that's a big part. I mean, that's the most important part of who I am. And then somebody who believes in public service that you should do it if you're going to go do it on behalf of the people you serve, all of them. The whether they like you or not, you show up when they need you, and you figure out ways in which to make their lives better. That's the role, and you constantly try to get better at what you're doing. And so in this role, I'm constantly trying to be better at it so that I want to get good at it so that people are like, oh, he's good at getting things done legislatively. I mean, in the last Congress, we got the Social Security Fairness Act done, which had been sitting in Congress for 25 years,
Right.
which is a good story in and of itself. And then, like in terms of big picture, like long term, I just want to honestly, I want to be part of those big things that I mentioned, like fundamentally transforming education, fundamentally
Right.
transforming the economy, healthcare, and housing, not small things, and peace, Middle East peace. Like that's my bucket list. And whatever role allows me to have the most impact on those things, that's what I'm going to try to do, particularly for folks back home, right? And the only thing I ask of people is find things that they're passionate about that are communal, right? And just be all about it. It's your issue. It's not my issue. It's just something that's happening in our society, in your community, and just be all in. And
Right.
like that makes a huge difference because then you're sort of, if you're plugged into something that we're all working on, the likelihood that you're going to want to be part of like shared solutions as opposed to just
Right.
me, just is higher.
So I'm going to ask you to lie to me, Greg.
Okay.
I'm actually going to ask you to lie to me because my question is bipartisanship dead? Because it feels like the
No,
moderates
it's
on
not.
both sides.
Wait, I can't lie. Oh, you want me to lie to you?
Yeah, I need you to lie to me because it
It's
looks
not
like
dead
we're
though.
running
It's
them all
just
out
like
of.
it's a true story. Like it feels dead. It
Okay.
looks dead.
Yep.
It is still breathing.
Okay.
It
That's what I need
needs
to hear.
some rehab.
Yeah.
It needs some people to believe in it. It needs,
Yeah.
somebody to come over and bring it soup and whatnot.
Yeah. Right.
It needs some
Right.
love and care. But no,
Right.
like the vast majority of Americans want bipartisanship. The vast majority of elected officials want bipartisanship. The issue is that the people at the top, whether it's the president or the speaker, they're not into it right now, and we
Yeah.
got to get them
But it's a
back.
winning division is a winning strategy, and
Yeah, and
people, yeah,
so
people are
it's alive. It's
right.
just like I need it to be. I want the next president of the United States to be the person who says, you know what? Like I understand that 9 out of 10 times the bipartisan thing may fall apart, but that's where I'm starting every single time.
Yeah. Hmm. Well, I'll tell you, Greg, I believe in you. I do believe in this country.
Me too.
I'm grateful for the work that I get to do in the space of inclusion. I
Yeah.
love that work. I'm so glad that I'm
Yeah.
that even at this time.
Yeah.
And I can tell you from the ground floor that people still value it greatly.
Of
That if
course.
people feel that you care about them,
That's
then
it.
they're good.
Yeah.
As long as you're not leaving them
But
behind.
that's the irony. What they got mad about was they thought inclusion meant that they were going to get excluded.
Right.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
All right, man.
Is there anything else that you want to share with our community? I
Just
really appreciate you
that
making time.
I love you, and anytime, whenever you want to jump on a Zoom. Sorry, they got bumped but you can blame the speaker and Trump and them because it
Oh
was
yeah, the
those
big
messed
beautiful
up
bill, the big
votes.
ugly bill that you
Yeah,
had to be a part of voting.
yeah. I had to fly back.
Right,
Yeah, anyway. And then God, I had to sit around the floor.
right.
Anyway, good to see you. I appreciate you.
Thank you.
All right.
Appreciate you joining. Bye now.
Bye.
Well, today we had Greg Landsman, a United States Congressman, join us on Diversity Conversations. I'm a fan of Greg's because I know that he believes deeply in the things that he's saying. I know that he cares about our city. He cares about inclusion and diversity. He cares about making big change. And so I think that we need to hear from leaders, politicians especially, that can give us some hope that tomorrow, in fact, can be better than today, that we're in a moment right now that feels very divisive. And it gets generalized as almost every politician is the same. But I knew that Greg's not the same. And many of them are not just sort of the blob, the stereotypical image that we see today. But it's going to take leadership, and it's going to take us as people placing greater demands on those that represent us and those that serve us. I would say to you that none of us can just be simply looking for revenge. We have to actually say, what can I do on my own? I actually don't have to spend a lot of time focused on Washington and what happens there. What are the things that we need to be doing in our own communities? Uh, I attended service last Sunday, and Reverend Pipus preached a powerful message, but he was talking about violence in the community and what are some things that we can do. And he said that he wants to focus for over the next 10 weeks to really have the church take a look at some practical strategies and things that they can put together, we can put together to try to reduce violence in our communities. And so today, we had a chance to talk to a congressman, but at the end of the day, it's about what you and I do that's going to make a difference in our city, in our state, and in our country. I thank you for joining another installment of Diversity Conversations, and we'll look forward to TommieLewis joining us again next week. Take care.